it seems to me, and perhaps to you, that there is another industry right now moving in that wants to own the government. And that is the tech industry. That seems
big tech.
very cozy, very close with the government. You've been outspoken, and you're one of the only people who's been publicly outspoken about the dangers of that.
Well, at the same time, right after 2008, this is when Obama became aware of the power of social media. There's this famous meeting at San Francisco airport where the guys at Facebook come to him with his team, and they tell him about the power of Facebook because he's running as a populist outsider against the Clinton machine. Nobody gives Obama a chance. He's an anti-war populist outsider. Nobody gives him a chance at first against the Clinton apparatus, right? The Clinton mafia. He does this, a lot of it's through social media. They have an implicit bargain later with the oligarchs in what I call the algorithmic age. They allow the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Googles, all the big platforms that charge. They essentially reach a Faustian pact, which is we're a hegemon globally, right? And what we need to do in the age of the algorithm is keep the commanding heights of technology. So we make an implicit deal with the oligarchs. You're going to have no Justice Department interference, no Federal Trade Commission interference. We're not going to try to break you up. They're going to have no antitrust pressure at all. We're going to allow you to become the richest people on earth, okay? But you have to give us the commanding heights in the age of algorithm. And here's what have we found out? That we're 10 or 12 years into this, and we know in the age of algorithm, social media and AI, they've blown them both. On social media, if you look at our social media, it's fairly cumbersome. It's not exactly revolutionary.
TikTok is much bigger.
TikTok is not just bigger, it's so
Better.
much more sophisticated, 1,000 times.
Yeah.
The Chinese Communist Party, it's so lethal because of its addictive nature. TikTok is not on mainland China. They have a version, right, of TikTok that's not so addictive, and they don't let the content they let in the West. This is how powerful it is. We've blown it as far as social media goes. They're orders of magnitude more sophisticated than we are, and ours is quite addictive, but theirs is much more. But then on artificial intelligence is even worse. And now, what do you think DeepSeek is, a PSYOP or a Sputnik moment?
Right.
Right. It's both bad. But I think you have to defer the fact it may be a Sputnik moment. They are basically saying that our theory of the case in artificial intelligence, which is kind of mass machine learning, right? Power through, and you need all this new energy for the data centers. They're saying that theirs is a totally different profile. So what happens? We've lost the commanding heights in the two very technologies in the algorithmic age. We made the Faustian bargain on with these guys. There's 75 electric vehicle companies. Google has Bing and DuckDuckGo. There's no competition for Google. There's no competition for Facebook. There's no competition Amazon. Amazon destroyed half the small businesses in this country, flooding the zone with Chinese Communist Party product. There's no competition to X or to Twitter because we let them go. And there's no Justice Department. That's why I'm a neo-Brandeisian when it comes to the Justice Department. I'm a Lena Khan fan.
You're a Lena Khan fan.
100%.
Break them up. Break them up.
If she had been allowed, and look, here's Kamala. When Steve Bannon talks about Lena Khan 10 times more than Biden, and particularly Kamala Harris, that tells you it's a fixes in the Democratic Party. It's controlled by all these corporatists. This is the thing of Trump. You've got Gail Slater. You've got Andrew Ferguson. You then have Mike Davis and others in War Room that are neo-Brandeisians and kind of think, hey, Linda Khan, we'd love to have her back.
Explain that term to people.
From Brandeis, Justice Brandeis, Louis Brandeis, had this theory back in the 30s that you have to watch out for private concentrations of power that would then partner with government. If you wanted to get to a totalitarian government, right, you would have major concentrations of private power built around monopolistic.
The term that they often call the corporate state.
Corporate state.
Yeah.
Exactly. And says that is a danger to liberty and freedom, right? Now, he was an FDR guy, et cetera. You've had it, then a school came up in kind of the 80s from Chicago called the Chicago School that really looked at it from consumer pricing, right? That everything's got to be to the benefit of the consumer. And so it's kind of a gentle way to go on antitrust.
It's buying people off. It's going, your jobs don't exist anymore, but the T-shirts are less money.
Exactly.
Yeah,
or
okay.
even in competition, when they look at mergers, that what's the price, and they do all these kind of Cato it's a very libertarian school. It hasn't worked.
And it's just basically we can immiserate your lives, but if we give you enough creature comforts, if we give you Netflix, if you can DoorDash Taco Bell, which I've done, and I'll admit that. But if you can do all of those things, stop complaining that you can't send your kids to college.
Exactly.
That's kind of the layman's way to say it.
And so in neo-Brandeisian is, to get back to what Louis Brandeis said, is that these great concentrations, which was really...
That's the last time. If I'm ever asked to leave a plane, if I'm ever dragged off a plane for heaping abuse on a flight attendant who deserves it, I'm going to scream, I'm a neo-Brandeisian as I am dragged off the plane.
You'll get that. What Brandeis saw, though, is the Chinese Communist Party's model. Remember, we did all this after Tiananmen Square, when Bush 41 sent Scowcroft over to say, no, we're going to get you. You got to calm down this political stuff, but we see you as a partner on the manufacturing side on a global basis. We will get you in the World Trade Organization. We will give you most favored nation status. We'll do all this. And the theory, they said, oh, we will take the Chinese Communist Party and turn them into a liberal democracy. These will all become Jeffersonian Democrats. The exact opposite happened. We recreated their model of state capitalism and authoritarian power. And that's what you have today with the oligarchs in Silicon Valley. Now, here's the beauty of it. Here's how great the oligarchs are. That we've made them we've made them the richest people on earth. We've made them some of the most powerful people on earth. And then exactly when they're exposed for being phonies and what you made the Faustian bargain for on both social media and particularly artificial intelligence, what do?
They flip.
Well, hold it. They do. Well, let me get to the flip in a second.
Yeah.
They turn around and say, we need a bailout. They say, all you hear right now is that in this city, you're hearing we need a Marshall Plan. We need a Mercury astronauts plan. We need to turn over all the national labs, the weapons labs, Lawrence Livermore, Sandia, where they made the nuclear weapon, the hydrogen bomb. We need to turn all the national labs to the guys in Silicon Valley, because now we've had a Sputnik moment and the Chinese Communist Party have taken the commanding heights. I go, hang over a second. This is and they're talking $500 billion to $1 trillion bailout for the exact same guys that did this. In addition, understanding the math, right? And Elon understood it first, given his engineer's brain, and really backed our play. But the rest of them hung out until 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 5th of November when Pennsylvania fell. When Pennsylvania fell, Zucker, Bezos, all of them became populist nationalists. They go, we're in. And they got down with their checks to Mar-a-Lago, genuflected, right? And became supplicants to Trump. And this is why I say these guys are dangerous. They're all progressive Democrats. They were made what they are by the Obama administration. They're all progressive Democrats. They are totally phony. All they want to do is go to where the source of money is so they can keep their being oligarchs. Because right now, if you look at them and look at who the theoreticians they look for, but they're not really on the spectrum of like MSNBC's here and, war rooms here, and some guys are more open borders and globalists, others are hardcore populist nationalists. They're on a whole other spectrum, and that spectrum is what I call techno-feudalism. They've been taken out of the world of capitalism. It's no longer markets and profits, since we haven't allowed any competition and allowed these to become these massive companies. They are really digital platforms in rent. They're rent seekers, okay? And their idea is very feudalistic. It's like Venice in the 15th century. It is that the railhead is like the liege lord with the digital platform, and everybody else is a peasant, or what I call a digital serf.